Writing can absolutely feel like a lonely journey, especially when you're facing challenges like writer's block or self doubt or the need for constructive feedback. But it doesn't have to be. Imagine having a group of people who understand your struggles, cheer you on, and provide insight that impact not only your craft, but your soul. A strong writing community can offer all of this and more because the right community can make all the difference in your writing journey and how it can transfer your creative process into a collaborative and motivating experience. So today we're going to go on why writing communities are essential for every writer, building support and success. Now, I'll be honest with you. I am a proud contributor to community building. I own theaters at one time or another. I have Team Rise Together, which is a nonprofit about working together, growing together, and rising together. The way I got into the industry when I first started with music is I started going to hang out. When I started taking my career seriously, I started hanging out with bands. I started hanging out at recording studios. I started hanging out with record label people. You got to get involved with your communities. When I started acting, I started getting involved in the SAG-AFTRA union, and then I became friends with the president of SAG-AFTRA, and then I became friends with the vice president, and then I started running with them, running for office with them. So I got all these opportunities because I was a part of the community, and and you build these relationships and these wonderful connections with people. And sometimes we have to start those revolutions by creating opportunities for people to come together. That's why I am starting a writing. Actually, by the time this video airs, it'll already be going. But I'm working with local libraries, and I'm going to be doing writing classes at local libraries because I want to bring people together. I want to bring writers together, and it's important. There's a value to community. But Thomas, what are writing communities? Well, writing communities are much more than just spaces to share your work. It's not always about you, it's about us as people. And they become vibrant, creative ecosystems where you can nurture your growth as a writer. Now, these communities are designed to support you at every stage of your journey if you allow it, but also if you allow yourself to support others in their journey. So, whether you're basically starting out or you've been doing it for a while, the value of getting together with other people is a strong asset to your career as a writer. More importantly, the reason I say it's not always about you, it's about the other people around you, is because who opens the doors? Remember, no matter how good you are, somebody has to say yes. Somebody has to say, yes, I'll look at your book. Yes, I'll buy your book. Yes, I'll help you sell your book. Yes, I'll let you do whatever you want to do in the store to do your book signings and your book readings or whatever. Somebody has to say yes because they need to like you. So how do we do that? We like other people. We help other people. We get involved with other people. And then as a group, imagine you met 10 other writers. Okay. And together, it wasn't about how do you get your book to the next level, but it's how do you work together as a team and get that group to the next level? How does that group work together? How does that group maybe hire a publicist or a PR to represent your group of writers? Let's say your fantasy, the Dragon Tales Collective. And now it's about getting you guys and ladies and people onto radio. And it's about getting press and getting speaking engagements and then growing your visibility within your community. I did this with Top of the Bottom Pile, which is a comedy group, not a troupe, a group of comedians that work together where we were the best of the worst, your second best choice. We were the top of the bottom pile. And what we did was our goal was for the first year to not do shows until people asked. But people started asking fairly soon. We didn't ask for shows. We just went around. We supported people. We started getting involved with people. We started helping people do their shows by whatever we could. We met and spoke with people. And before you know it, even agencies were reaching out to us going, we have heard about you. And they heard about our group. That's the power of community and working together because you're saying, but Tom, I can't afford a PR publicist. Yeah, but if there's 10 of you and you each put in, say, $300, that's $3,000. That might be worth a month, right? And you're like, oh man, imagine you put $1,000 in. That's $10,000. That's 3 months. And it's like, but why? It's like, because you're a business, you should be trying to build these communities. Now imagine if 15 people, 20 people all working together, right? And you say, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, What about the writing communities of what about the red you have the red hats, right, which is a whole bunch of older individual ladies that wear red hats and they go around, right? Then you got the romance what is it? There's all these different communities that have gotten together over the years. So why can't you do the same? And that's what a community is, okay? uh, uh, Not only do you get to share each other's feedback and offer criticism, but it's a place where you can start building relationships and feel safe around one another. Oh, hey, look, I worked on this chapter. You worked on a chapter. Why don't we read each other's chapters and then we'll give notes on it, right? And then, okay, great, right? It could just be that, but it could be so much more, is what I'm saying. You want to do, hey, why don't you do like book events, right? Oh, Comic Con exists. You guys could rent tables together, maybe two tables next to each other. I did a table once with somebody. What is that? It wasn't that much money. Maybe 300 or $3,000 for Comic Con, whatever it was. It wasn't a lot. Uh, I eventually got free press though. I eventually was able to go to Comic Con for free a couple of years in a row using a press pass that I got through a relationship. A good friend of mine that was a close friend, is still a close friend. I love the guy. Um, and that got me a chance to just go to Comic Con and just sort of be there. And I got a press pass, so I was able to interview people. I was able to sit down, was able to do things for them. That's my point. Get involved. All right. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the power of networking within your community. Okay. Why is networking essential for writers? Okay. So, networking in the writing community is about building and cultivating relationships that can enhance your growth as a writer and open doors to opportunities you might find on your own. Now, let me repeat that and add a little something, something. Okay. Networking is about building and cultivating relationships to establish a strong circle of influence. Let me identify a couple of those things. Circle of influence is not a circle of people that can influence your career. They influence better, stronger, and more positive habits. They are people that inspire you. They are people that you inspire. A circle of influence are there to elevate and aspire to inspire others around them. Building is the collection of names and people in your existence. So the more people you meet, that's building. Cultivating is putting time into. So networking is about meeting new people, putting time into them, and making sure that the people you put time into are associated with a circle of influence that grow and influence one another. All right. It's more than just getting your name out there. It's about creating genuine connections with people who can provide guidance, support, and insight into the craft and the business of writing. And remember, you should be doing that in return. Sure, they can be a critique partner, right? And they could be that. They could be like, "Hey, I'm going to critique your stuff." They could collaborate on projects with you, and they could also be like, "Hey, let me recommend you for agents and maybe other publishers," because having a strong network is invaluable in helping you navigate the often isolated journey of writing. But in reality, it's about surrounding yourself with a circle of influence. It's not about them getting you career opportunities. For example, um, one of my acting managers I got through a relationship. They were like, "Hey, let me introduce you to this person." I got that, right? But I didn't become friends with them to get that opportunity. It just so happened because I built that relationship, they wanted to help me because I was helping them with marketing. And that's the thing. Just because I help you with one thing doesn't mean you have to help me with the same thing, because we all have different value sets. We have different skill sets. So you got to think of it like that way. Because in reality, did you know that the 5 people you hang out with the most become the world you live in? Let that sink in for a moment, okay? Look around your life. Look, I love playing video games. But when I realized early on, when I was trying to have a music career and then later comedy, all these other things, I realized that my group of friends only played video games. I had to change things up and get out around people who were proactive, people that desired a career in the entertainment industry, and people who were willing to try new things when stuff wasn't working. But if I'm spending my weekends hanging out with people just playing video games, and then during the week all they do is talk about video games, and I'm like, well, I'm trying to build my comedy career. And by the way, it's not only about hanging out with other comedians for me in that situation. And with us writers, it's not always about just hanging out with writers. It's about hanging out with people that are within the industry itself. So store owners, right, that own bookstores, uh, publishers, getting involved with publishers whenever there's volunteering opportunities. Whenever, like, let's say the publishing company is putting together an event and you go, hey, look, I'd love to volunteer and help with the event. Relationships lead to opportunity. But if you go there and you go, look, can I help you because I'm a writer and I want to be around you guys? You're using them. This is why writers who network effectively create support systems, which offers not only motivation, but also learning opportunities through the diverse experiences of others. Many successful writers attribute their progress not just to talent, but to the network of relationships they've cultivated within the writing community. Go find interviews with successful writers. They always talk about their writing group, and it always ends up being people that were successful. But then you're like, oh, of course, successful people hanging out with successful people. But then they're like, yeah, when we were in college together, because they weren't successful in the beginning. How to invest time and effort into networking. Okay. Like any relationship, building a network requires time and effort. Start by being an active participant in writing communities, whether that's online forums, local writing groups, or social media platforms dedicated to writing, such as like YouTube, AuthorTube, things like that, right? WritersTube. But you should also be attending writing workshops, conferences, or webinars, and not for, hey, look at my book, but how do you get in and join the discussion? How do you ask questions? How do you share your thoughts? How do you volunteer? How do you get a part of the system? Now, the key is to show up consistently so people recognize your presence and begin to associate you with meaningful contributions. So you have to make sure to approach networking with a mindset of giving, not just receiving. Offer feedback on others' work, especially if they ask. Share useful resources, especially if they ask. Or promote someone's success. It's important to remember that networking isn't transactional. It's about building genuine, long lasting relationships by showing interest in others and offering your time or insights. Then you naturally invite reciprocation, right? So, reciprocity. So, if I help you out, I shouldn't expect you to help me out because I should want to help out so I can inspire others to help out. But ultimately, the right people will be like, let's work together on something, which brings us to 3. The give and take of networking, helping others to grow relationships. A successful networking process is a balance of giving and receiving. If you want people to support you, it's crucial to show up for others. Offer help when you can, whether it's giving thoughtful feedback on a manuscript, sharing a fellow writer's published work, or even offering moral support when someone is facing creative challenges. This generosity strengthens your relationships, and over time, it's likely that the people you've helped will offer this support when you need it most, right? Because that's the whole process. The process. So, by helping others grow, you're building a community that's invested in mutual success. When you've established trust, writers will be more likely to share your work, introduce you to agents or editors, and provide feedbacks on your projects. In return, the network you've built will become your resource, not only for advancing your writing career, but also for keeping you grounded, motivated, and creatively inspired. Overall, networking in the writing community is about long-term relationships, building those relationships by cultivating them. It's not a quick path to success, but an essential process that requires time, effort, and helping one another. You're not building relationships with people to use them for their resources. You're building and cultivating relationships to grow together, work together, and rise together. By being present, actively participating, and helping others, you create a support system that can provide encouragement, feedback, and opportunities. Now, the more you give to the community, the more likely it is to support you in return. Networking helps you grow, not just as a writer, but as a professional. And it can be only one of the most rewarding aspects of your writing journey. Right? Now, some takeaways to this. Takeaway one: rejection, reflection, journal. Okay. 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 That's not what we're supposed to be talking about. That was another video. Oh. Boop. There we go. Sorry about that. Now, writing communities are about so much more than just receiving feedback on your work. They're about building those meaningful relationships with fellow writers, learning from their experiences, and finding the encouragement and motivation you need to keep going. Now, the whole purpose of meeting new people is saying to yourself, how do I add to these tables? How can I lead, follow, and advise? Now, leading is not about taking over, it's about inspiring and creating initiative, and also being there with an initiative. Somebody needs help, I can do it. Following is about elevating the mission of the table. What is the goal and the purposes of that table? What can you do to help that table? Be it introduce other people to people, whatever the case may be. It's not about how can this table elevate me, because if you elevate the table, everyone rises. And of course, advising is not to be right, but to give opportunity and options to others while also guiding and helping one another around the table. Your job is not to use other people. Your job to get involved in communities is about being a part of something and helping one another. Final thoughts. Very quick final thoughts. Now, remember, every successful writer started somewhere, facing same doubts, struggles, and creative hurdles. What sets them apart in their persistence and their willingness to seek out the support they need. Finding the right writing community was their first step, as it is your first step towards surrounding yourself with like-minded people who can offer guidance, encouragement, and honest feedback. It's about building relationships with those who understand your journey, share your passion, and push you to grow. People who challenge your understanding of the process and system. People who do their due diligence to research to understand the information they know, so then they can utilize it in a proactive way. Remember, engaging with a writing community is about more than just getting advice for your current project. It's an investment in your long-term development as a writer and being a part of that community. These communities provide a constant source of inspiration and accountability that can keep you going when writing feels challenging. But more importantly, it's not always about writing. It's about being involved. How can you elevate these communities? How can they see you? How can you be present? How can you be seen? And what can you do to add a positive elevation to that community? All I'm saying is put time in, and time will be put into you. Next video in the series will be a balancing authenticity and market demands in your writing. So basically, how to market with being true to yourself. Question: what's the most valuable thing you've gained from being part of a writing community, or what's holding you back from joining one? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't done so already and you love what you've been watching, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out. With that, I'll see you next time. Keep developing the right mindset. I'll talk to you later.